Well, it's that moment we've all been waiting for. Map number 3 between PLINK and Prosto to decide whose road to the FACEIT Major London comes to an end now and whose will be continuing. It's all on the line. We've seen 2 grueling maps, the first being picked up by Prosto back on Nuke. PLINK just found success on the map pick of Prosto. That was Inferno. We head through down to the battlegrounds that is Mirage. With me is Vince. Are you excited heading into this one?
I am excited, but I'm also kind of curious because we saw PLINK earlier on Mirage. They got pretty close to Hellraisers. I don't think Hellraisers performed at their maximum. I don't think they shifted through the gears fully. But what do Prosto have in offer here? Because honestly, some of those decision-making processes on Inferno triggered me. I know they triggered you too. So I don't know what to expect here from Mirage.
Yeah, I've had to surround myself with positivity, you know, to really see me through. God, this looks even worse than I could have imagined now that I've seen it on camera. But yes, I'm dual-wielding Union Jacks. I want to see some dual-wielding in the server, some dual Berettas, all the crazy stuff. Wouldn't surprise me if Prosto pulls stuff like that out based on what we just saw in Inferno. I was very triggered, and I know you were too, Vince. It felt like it was their map to lose. They were doing great. Their CT side got off to a good start. And then it was a few dumb peaks here and there from a few players, a few unnecessary peaks. Maybe we won't go out straight away and call them dumb, but they definitely seemed unnecessary. And it gave it all away. So now we head on through map number 3. And this is all underway. PLINK over on the CT side. Prosto, they've invested in a little bit of utility on Def. They've thrown that out in towards A. They're going to go charging into the waiting guns of Romy and Jayo.
And Romy in a ninja spot's going to come through with 2, and Jayo with 1 of his own. It's looking good for PLINK early doors. There is a P250 in the hands of Kenza. This is something that we started to see Fnatic come through with. I believe it was Crimson Flusher. Started to get P250s a while back on the T side. Dropped that. And now I have to see if he can do anything with it. The bomb way out in the open. They're going to have to go and retrieve, go behind enemy lines to get it. There's still a player in shadow, which is Jayu, who's going to get the frag in the backside of Ivan. And now Kenza is going to get smoked out. He does have a minute to play with, and because of the rapid amounts of action we saw early on, you'd think there's probably only about 10 or 15 seconds left in normal circumstances, but he's good to wait a little bit longer. He can feel his way out, try and probe onto the site, finds Jayo. But that's going to be another kill. 3 kills to him. PLINK pick up the pistol. And as ever, Harry, we've had a reoccurring theme that the team that wins the pistol go ahead and screw up the next round. So we'll have to see if that happens again.
So the one thing, that, I mean, normally it's been Prosto winning the pistol and then losing that second. At least this time PLINK have won it. Maybe they can break the curse that has plagued all the matchups today. Will we finally see 2 in a row? I mean, we've seen it a few times, but not enough. Not enough for ye olde Counter-Strike gods to feel content. And well, this for Awesome Prosto, they have the scout up on Ivan. Big fan of that. You can tag the players down low, and with how strong the Deagles and CZs are, that's going to be worth its weight in gold. Jayo waiting over here towards Connector. Doesn't spot anyone out just yet. And Prosto backing out of mid. They took control here early on, and now they concede all the ground they worked so hard to get, as they look to reorientate themselves and head back towards this A-bomb site.
I don't know if I like this, man. They use so much of their grenades to get that much ahead in mid. Now they're going to be moving through for like a dry push on A. They've got Sivat with a flashbang, but that's it. So you've basically given up all this control, all of this pressure that you're applying. You've alleviated yourself. PLINK haven't had to do anything. They've just had to effectively wait. And now 2 players in CT, they're going to be hard to get rid of unless Ivan can curve one of those scout frags in his team's favor. 35 seconds now. That flash still hasn't been utilized. It needs to be tossed in soon. They've got to start to get a move on. Jemo's seemingly caught in 2 minds. If there's a player in window, they find out there is, but it's all going the way of the CTs. And although Kenzo has answered back with a 1-dig, ultimately, it should still be the counter-terrorists that come out ahead. A second frag has gone the way of the T's, and then somehow the bomb could be getting planted now for sure. How is this even possible? How are the terrorists in this position?
I couldn't tell you, Vince, but they're going to try and hold the fort. Flarich has retrieved the scout. He's going to stay on the Deeg instead. Maybe the scout would be preferable at this range, and now he swaps out to it. Kenzo going to look to join him, and the bomb indeed is planted for Sviat down in mid. Flarich waits with the scout. Down goes Redhide. Luke and Rami left alive. Bomb timer ticking down. They found one of the men over at the ramp, but not the second. That's the frag going the way of Kenzor. And for Rami, he's got to run away. Which means the curse continues. And the force buy prevails here for Prosto. They find themselves a second round. And what does this mean? I don't know. But the force buy curse is certainly real. All you have to do is say Kenzor 3 times in a mirror after midnight, and lucky force buys will come to you. As they found an early round on the board, the force going to come back from PLINK. Maybe we finally see a force buy war. Who knows? I'm on the edge of my seat, waiting with anticipation to find out. Flaric and Ivan going to turn their attention over here towards mid early on. They have to try and get past Luke, Joyo, and Rami.
Just whatever happens, kids, don't try this at home, okay? Please. For your safety and everyone that cares about you, just don't do it. Fates, with his Desert Eagle on short, going to be peering across towards mid. There is a second smoke there, but it's not going to stop Rami from having a quick look over on the short side. Kenzor has a bit of information gathered. No one is currently in window. Now, Flaric is just making sure that nobody from the CTs is making a move around the backside. Fates is going to catch himself a scout shot from Ivan. He hasn't got any assists, strangely enough, even though he's been landing pretty consistent shots with the gun. And now smoke being deployed just outside of connector. One in window. Prosto able to get some real estate for themselves, but they're going to have to convert that into something more. Ivan, a Glock headshot of all things, landing onto Geo, who didn't get any head armor. And now Red High, close range with the CZ, going to open up. There's one frag, not able to transition across to the second, ran out of bullets and ran out of health. And although there's only 30 seconds left, Prosto have the advantage in terms of positioning with the bomb. Oh my goodness. If Luke landed that shot and they just starved away time, Harry, I may have just got up and left. Because that bomb drop makes no sense. Why would you drop it that side where Kitchen can see it?
Like, look, there's been a lot of mysteries this game. A lot of questions I wish I could answer, but sadly, I cannot. And that would have been one of them, Vince. But what a way for you know, you to exit the building. What a way for your career to just come to an end.
I'm done.
It's just the one, yeah, that's it. It pushes you over the edge. You go get an accounting job, and that's just it.
I wish I was that intelligent to get an accounting job.
I mean, yeah, it's all just numbers, mate, isn't it, at the end of the day? So I'm pretty sure, I don't know, that's awful. But yeah, here we go. It's going to be a conversion for Prosto. They managed to get the job done. They've broken the curse at the same time as keeping the curse going, I guess. I don't know. A second round for them over on the T side. Rami was able to save himself an M4. The rest of the gang just going to have to eco if they want to buy in the next, which means Prosto get off to a good start early on. Going to move up 3-1. Well, the crazy thing is like, I don't even feel like a lot of like the pistol round victories have come off the back of pistols being strong. It just feels like they're very poorly handled by the opposing side. But
I agree. Yep.
Well, here's the push in anyway. Maybe we see some sweet relief as all 3 rounds look to get converted. There's Flaric doubling down, and yeah, they dealt with Rami. This round is over. I say with bated breath. Luke's managed 1 kill, but yeah, he's running away. So 3-1 for Prosto on their T side.
Yeah, just a P250 between the two of them. P2000 for Luke. And the hope of maybe an AWP coming up soon on the side of PLINK. But as you say, in terms of this round, it is a done deal. It is going the way of Prosto. Have a FAMAS in the hands of Sivat. Only Flaric, sorry, pardon me, will be on the chopping block for this round. So now I'm going to turn their attention towards round number 5. There is an AWP available for Luke if he so chooses, but it would yield a glass cannon and not much more. So he's actually going to trade places with Rami, who had enough to drop it and has enough now to go for headless armor. So managing that economy to afford the AWP. Have to see if they can do anything with it, though. Ivan's got a really good spawn to peek mid.
Well, he gets out of mid early on, but oh my goodness, Luke is going to delete him from the face of planet Earth. That is him goodbye and gone. out of the park. Flaric over on Tetris, but he's not playing games as he does Molotov Romy out into the open. Are they going to be ready for FACEIT, who sits in the corner at Firebox? Luke now looking to try and extend this man advantage back in favour of PLINK. Forced off the angle. Kenzor's over in Palace. They can hear the footsteps, and now the push looks to come through. Luke trying to take up position on the stairs. Manages another with the AWP. Going to go back for more, but Flaric in with the trade, and now this pounce out from FACEIT. He's dropped the bomb. Kenzor's alone up in Palace. The other man, Def, over in middle. Looking to try and claw their way back into this round.
And with the molly and the flash, they know exactly where Kenzor was last seen, which is Palace, and Jo will lay him down. Put the final nail in the coffin of round 5. There were a few awkward moments though. PLINK able to get it done, and here's the frags from Luke through mid onto Ivan, who now does have an AWP. In the last round I thought he may have actually gone for an AWP because he had such a good spawn for mid, but he had it for mass instead. So let's see how he's looking this time. Not quite the perfect spawn, is actually second in, and as a result is going to wait for the smokes to fully bloom on both short and also connector. Look to push through it though is Def. There's another nade in towards connector, but no one's home. Jo is on the other side towards stairs. Now he's going to make a move. Right place at the right time? Perhaps not. 2 players down to his left, looking to boost into window. And it has been successful, and Flaric now has made some inroads. There's his second smoke. It's going to screw with his vision a little bit, so he's going to have to move a little bit more forward. But Jo's coming around the corner and checking it. Only does 22 damage, though. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's a big rip. That's what we call that in the industry. Here's Luke and Romy left alive over here inside of the A-bomb site, and they're about to be tested. Maybe, though, FACEIT can get in position over on short to help out just in the nick of time. Aggression up through connector. Everyone's left A on the side of PLINK. They've actually got aggressive into Palace, and that now leaves Romy the man to keep an eye on. He can do so much damage in this position, but they've read it well. They Molotov him off the angle. Luke now peeking in from CT. Isn't going to be given any way back into this round. 3v5 in the retake, and in spite of having a man in the Palace, they won't be reaping the royalties from this round. Instead, they're going to have to back away and look to save.
That is certainly the order of play. 3 very separate locations, though, for PLINK, so they're going to have to be very careful on their retreat. Romy just outside of Palace. Luke is in CT. And Redhide perched in the B-apps. He's the safest of the 3 players. Although he's about to get forced on by Sivat, potentially. But no, they will be able to save, so a couple weapons can trade hands and drop. It's not going to be great in terms of utility, though. So great stuff for Pro Start. What weapons are going to be dropped here? Are we looking at like a UMP for mass, maybe? MP9 and Scout, okay. But you can see that Luke only has a flashbang, only a smoke for Jo. It is pretty bargain bucket stuff. And they're going to play aggressive and underpass with Jo's MP9. Meanwhile, Luke peering into mid. He's going to get tested with a smoke in his eyes. Can't really see anything. Romy's already gone in for a kill. So the balances have tipped in the CT's favor for now. But Romy's on 5 health. And again, the later this round goes, the less utility the CT's going to be able to work with. And Jo's been found by Sivat. So that's a big pick in mid. Now there's no mid control at all. And the bomb is there for the terrorists. So they can do with it what they will. Also, no one on short. So this is really rough for PLINK from their positioning. But the only silver lining, Harry, is they have Romy moving through Palace and getting a lot of information.
Yeah, but this could be an infamous case of misinformation if that bomb heads up through connector. Luke is keeping an eye on the cross at window. But if that bomb heads back towards there, I think if you're PLINK at that point, you really have to sit this round out. It all comes down to, does Romy catch this timing? Does he hear the footsteps as well? Def isn't making any over here towards ramp. He certainly hasn't caught the timing. It's going to be the A split. And like I said, if that bomb goes down on A, I see no way back into this for PLINK. Romy's too far away to have any sort of meaningful impact on this A side take, unless he catches Def off guard like that, and now there is a fighting chance. Man advantage garnered for PLINK. Bomb plant comes through. Romy now over at the ramp position, and players circling all around like vultures around a corpse. They look to try and pick the bones dry of Prosto. But Ivan certainly isn't going to give up the bomb site that easy.
Again, though, Romi's going to have big impact with just 5 health. They're seeing the shadows around the corner. Ivan's with 2, looking for a third, lands it. And now Romi's going to have to be next up to the plate to deliver. And I don't think he fancies it. Doesn't want to bite off more than he can chew. Instead, trade across to the AK. Maybe just worried in case he makes some noise, but surely he saw that AK behind him. And most players would prefer the AK over the M4. I feel like he just didn't want to give sound cues away in case someone was Palace. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with this with his life. There is a player coming through from the BAP side. He should be okay, though. He will be able to survive and just about escape. 2-5, though. Prosto going from strength to strength.
Yeah, they've hit the ground running here early on. And once again, starting to look to work off of each other a little bit better, it feels like. I think Inferno might have just been, you know, not... I don't know, it's weird. They picked it, right? You imagine they were going to be good heading into that, but it just feels like a weaker map. Because right now, these guys are working together. They're complementing each other well. Although that said, a lot of that round comes off the back of the fast 3K from Ivan. Romy gets burnt out over here in mid. The M4 going to get juggled onto Gio, who now waits patiently, tucked away in connector. Going to try and emerge from his hidey hole. Doesn't spot anyone out just yet, but they've dealt with Red Hide over here towards the B bomb site. This bomb will be going down, and I think if you Plink, you look to try and save the rifle up on Gio. Maybe the others try and make something happen. And they have found Ivan, so there's a rifle over here on short. Still in with a chance to make something happen in this round.
They can sacrifice Luke and Fates away to the CS gods. That's not going to be a big issue, but it's really about JO at this point. Luke's going to try and dart in and steal the AWP. Daylight robbery. Is able to scamper away with it. That is a huge pick if they can pull it off, and it looks like they will. Right under the nose of Prosto. AWP trades hands, and Fate's just going to act as a bodyguard. If he can pick up another weapon, all the better for it, but I'm very surprised Luke got away with that. So Plink in a 2-6 deficit. Of course, they're still well and truly up against it. Are going to have a packed out, boosted buy courtesy of that steal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he got away with it. I'll be honest with you. He could go ahead and try and attempt to write a book. You can have it, The Art of the Steal by Luke. That'll do. 6th round for Prosto regardless. But yeah, double up setup allowed to be moved into here by Plink, and they're going to get that pretty, I was going to say early on, but I just mean in a round that they shouldn't have had it. They've now gained it on the back of stealing the AWP. The push about to come through over here towards A, where the defense of Plink going to be tested once again.
And Prosto aren't being coy about this. There's a whole bunch of smokes and Molotovs. JO's already down to 25. And Prosto show their intentions. The Molotov does just about burn JO enough to put him down. Luke counteracts, and there's Romy from the back of the triple box. It's where we saw Luke go ham earlier today. Romy with 2, not quite 3. And maybe this is where Ivan can come out clutch once again with his AWP. His position not currently known, but now it's been spotted. Misses that shot, and that probably is his last lifeline. Indeed it is. He's cut short by Luke, who comes in for a 3K. It does seem like Luke is the kind of player that just kind of goes off the boil and then pops up for some crazy 3K and then just goes back like AFK again. So weird.
Yeah, exactly. But that isn't a good trait to have, right? I mean, it feels like it's his whole idea. I mean, it was something I heard a lot, especially while I was working on like a few NA things with maybe like some lesser known players, and I was working with Jason, and he said like the most important skill is learning to hit the easy shots, right? And then you can work on the flashy stuff, because the flashy stuff is pretty unreliable, right? You need to be consistent. And Luke kind of feels anything but. I mean, he has these moments where it's like, how has he done this? He's got 3 kills, and then the next it's like, you know, misses a shot onto someone who's barely moving. And you need him to hit those shots. You need him to be able to open up rounds, not just save them occasionally. But still, it serves well for Plink in that round there. Jai going to work his way once again into his hidey hole, only this time Def discovers him, and there's only enough room for 1 in the hidey hole. Now, I mean, amount of advantage gained for Prosto. What are they going to do with it? One thing that's important to note as well, much better use of map control. You see them take control of mid, they don't just leave it. They did in that one round in the pistol, I thought, you know, the anti-eco. I thought we were going to see a repeat of that once again from these guys, but they've been very, very keen on using the portions of the map they've been working for. Now they've got to get past Redhide. He's lined up the first, misses the second, actually a couple of missed shots, and now they have his name and his number. But Luke's here to help out.
Where's the strength in numbers from the terrorists? Redhide missed so many shots, and yet somehow PLINK still come out ahead in that trade. What is happening here? Ivan, I think he may have just tried to bait out as if he was jumping into window, and instead is coming through from the BAP side, but is surely going to get picked off as soon as he peeks. Shot through about 5 seconds too late. Going to go out and Luke plucks him out in midair. And PLINK will pick up the round, but I mean, that's just so shoddy. I mean, Redhide missed about 4 shots there on the approach. And where was the counteraction from the T's? They just ran out one by one.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one of these little CIS mysteries that we've seen today. But regardless, a round is a round, no matter how you come to acquire it. And now the push looks to come through over here towards B. That nade's done a lot of damage, though. And Redhide is living up to his name. Eyes closed inside the smoke, looking to try and outlast the rest of Prosto. They barrel on him, but he does overstay his welcome. And now FACEIT, cut off by that smoke, has to wait for the rest of the rotation to come through. It's going to be 4v4 in the retake.
We've already isolated one of the angles off. Getting each other's way is going to cost them a bit of health. Kenzo getting a bit crispy down to 87. Now in the one-shot range of both of the M4s. Could prove to be pretty important as time goes on. FACEIT dancing with death, able to come out ahead in that trade, but now it's going to be down to Jo as his teammates falling around him, not able to get a frag. Kenzo's still alive with 65, and FACEIT has to piece out of there with the AWP. So it's another successful round by Prosto after 2 in a row for PLINK. And their woes will continue. 7-4 lead. And in terms of finances, not great either. Even with a saved AWP, it's unlikely we're going to see a great buy here. Honestly, PLINK should just save. They can't get really anything out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an awkward spot to be in. You'd love to have something to accompany that AWP, but yeah, the money just isn't there. And that's as a consequence of that reset coming in after winning 2 rounds back-to-back, but both of them being fairly close. Now, push going to come through Palace and Ramp. Ivan holding down mid, now looking to rejoin the rest of the bunch, but it's Jo picked early on. FACEIT answers back, and the bomb falls into the bomb site. Now they have to try and contend with Romy. Kenzo has no issue doing exactly that. One man is down. But the AWP on the back of FACEIT's brought down reasonably low. At this point, he's already playing a more passive position, hinting towards the fact that he might look to save. He's still going to go peeking into this, though. Might be able to find something. Does have a man here to retrieve the AWP if he goes down. With the positioning of Luke all the way back in T-spawn, there should be no reason for them to be going for this. And there we go. Now the save call definitely comes through. Prosto going to be locking in an 8th round, and maybe Luke can find a couple of players on the exit. Look to get out of there with a rifle or something he shouldn't have.
It almost felt like FACEIT was using Redhide as like a canary down a mine shaft, you know? Like, he's got a kit, so if Redhide goes through and, oh look, no one's on A, they've all chased us away, I can now come through and ninja that defuse, and we'll be good to go. Redhide gets fragged, he just jumps instantly out of there, saves his AWP, and now they can get a decent buy behind it. I like the idea for PLINK. It was pretty dangerous, though, because they definitely needed FACEIT to stay alive with that AWP. And again, it does seem every opportunity they get, they're going for this double AWP setup. And honestly, I kind of feel like Redhide's a bit more useful when he has the M4 in his hands. He hasn't really blown me away with his AWPing just yet. So actually, they're going to switch across to FACEIT. Okay, I see. Fair enough.
I think they agree with you there, Vince. As you say, yeah, they've given the AWP over to FACEIT. Luke's down here in lower tunnels, and oh, that's a shot missed. That could have been a man advantage gained early on, but instead, all that ends up being is a fleeting opportunity. Sphere out from Ramp. leading the charge with the rest of the gang. Smokes down to segregate away the players from PLINK, and Romy waiting in CT. Tries to deny the bomb plot. So much damage done through triple box, but instead it's Kenzo to find the frag onto Romy deep within CT. PLINK already losing a man early, now left 4v5, and it's Ivan wrapping round over in towards middle along with Def that could make all the difference here.
It is slow and steady, and it has to be with 2 ops. Kenza goes peeking for information, he gets it, but it's not worth the cost of his life. Now the aggression for the CTs comes through, and all the trades are going the way of the CTs. What a collapse this is. Def can't stop the defuse either. Gonna go back in seconds. Oh my god, Prosto, how do you possibly throw that round? Their positions were solid, and you hit the nail on the head. They had to rotate all the way through connector. All they had to do was stay alive.
The crazy, I mean, they didn't just have one, they had 2 in mid. That's the... And Def, I think he even botched the reload. That's what it looked like. He was spraying down, he killed 2 guys. It's like, great, you've done good. 1 dude on the bomb, that's all you have to get. He reloads, and I think he switched to the knife for the... I don't know, you do it, I guess, because it's like... I don't even know if it is faster, right? But people still do it regardless. And, yeah, you have to reload again. So that's pretty devastating if you are Prosto. A round eludes them. Double up, set up, maintain, and Gio waiting down towards connector. Other side of that smoke. Def going to re-smoke the top of it. They know that Gio's been very keen at playing inside of connector. They're going to be checking all these little goblin angles.
Goblin angles, I love that. I have to use that in the future when I'm playing. With some expletives thrown in as well, of course.
Yeah. No, I love a goblin angle. You hide in the depths and steal all the loot, but it didn't work out for him. He only managed 1. Luke's going to go ahead and re-extend the man advantage back in favor of PLINK. So now Prosto fighting a man down. Oh, and you can bet that Luke now knows there's a man down on the ramp. The only question mark now is mid.
It's a pretty big question mark, though, and it is costing them manpower to check that out. Now they're going to bring in a second play, which is going to be FACEIT to CT boxes. In amongst all of this, though, Romy is making a move into ramp. Needs to win this trade and wins it convincingly. Perforating the head of Kenzo. Not going to play any further part in this round, at least. And that's down to Ivan. They led a round that really should be there, slipped through the fingers in the last one. Can Ivan make amends? It's not looking good. Romy from the backside with a nade, but Ivan comes in for 2. Only 4 health remained, and Redhide finished off what Romy started. With a kit, no problem on the defuse, 6-8.
And I mean, PLINK are clawing this back to a very even scoreline once again. It's, you know, I mean, this was 6-2 at one point in time in favor of Prosto. It looked like it was going to be all their game, and now it's been made that much more even. And once again, I don't know if you're going to agree with me here, Vince, but it feels like we're seeing a bit of a repeat from Inferno in the sense that the team play is starting to degrade down over on this T side. You know, that Prosto are kind of starting to go for a lot more individual plays. They're not playing off of each other. I don't know if that's just because these guys hate each other or what, but like the second they start to fall behind, it feels like, you know, a lot of that same team play I was commending them for early on, the switch around, it seemed like they made it starts to kind of fall apart around them.
I think maybe it's panic because, you know, at the end of the day, these players, I'm assuming, haven't really been at this level too many times, and there is a lot up for grabs. You know, the CIS region, it can be very tumultuous, and Hellraisers didn't look their phenomenal normal self. So there is a question now, like, well, hold on a second, could we feasibly get to the major? That would be life-changing for some of these players. So maybe that's getting in the back of their minds. They're kind of their own worst enemy in that case. They've just got to completely separate themselves from the situation and just focus on the CS. Way easier said than done, of course. But, of course, I'm trying to be optimistic. I honestly don't know what the problem is, but they seriously have some. PLINK aren't exactly flawless either, though. We've seen a lot of mistakes on both sides. But Prosto, they could have had this round wrapped up in a nice, neat like ribbon, like 11-4, 12-3. And yet here we are, super even.
Redhide going to go down. Romy falls up on short, so perhaps a turning point now for Prosto. A chance to go 9-6 to end the half. And while they do lose Def to a Molotov, they still have a man advantage. They still have the opportunity to execute it towards, say, bomb site. FACEIT spots ahead over in mid. Isn't able to click on it, though. Instead, it's Luke from within the depths of CT to try and claw PLINK back into this round. He's going to go peek it out, misses the first shot. And with that, they know where he is. He's rung the dinner bell. He's going to be biting back as best he can. Players forcing onto him, and there you go. He gets caught by Flaric. Here's Jaya to arrive a little bit late. Doesn't quite bail his teammate out in time. It's a 2v2 in this retake. Fate's on the AWP.
Nade tossed in, doesn't do any significant damage, and that shot wasn't far off Kenza at all. He still had to just ping off the wall next to his head. Flaric trying to provide some overwatch fire from the CT boxes, and it's going to be successful. And now Fate with just the USPs, his lonely sidearm is going to be the last to fall in the half, and Prosto at least end in winning ways, 9-6. But you can see there that so much damage was done. At one point it was 6-2. They were looking like they're in cruise control, then 8-4. So for it to be 9-6, I think PLINK overall would be relatively happy with that outcome. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there was a time where like Prosto were just going to steamroll them. So they're probably reasonably happy with the outcome of this. They've pulled it back to a pretty decent scoreline, and now they move in to that T-side half. Prosto, I think it's been pretty noticeable that they've had some glaring issues on their CT sides. At least that was the case at Inferno. Nuke was anything but, so it just kind of depends what iteration of this team we're going to see. It's about to be a fast play in towards this B-bomb site, though. All 5 players from PLINK chomping at the bit to try and get this bomb down. And in they go, charging past the might of Flaric and the rest of the guys over at short. They do manage to get the bomb down. It's a 4v5 in the retake.
That's a solid smoke that's been deployed, but unfortunately, PLINK are hemorrhaging players too fast to be comfortable with. Redhide does come back for one. They're going to draw out a lot of fire on towards Def, who finally meets his demise, and I'm curious why Prosto haven't pushed these players in short already. Their smoke has been cleared for a little while now. Def desperately needed the help. Now Sivat's going to go into kitchen, see if he can get a couple players from the side. There's one. Jo answers back with a frag of his own. Sivat needs to clean this up right here, right now. Finally gets the kill, going their way. He's got the kit, remember, and there's the final frag. There is going to be enough time for the defuse. Just about another couple seconds, and that would have been done. But 10-6 is going to be the score.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you mentioned something that was interesting is there is so much on the line, right? The loser of this is eliminated. Their potential road to the FACEIT London Major comes to a close. Meanwhile, the winner, you know, they're still in this. They're going to be moving forward along with Hellraisers. So there is so much on the line. And I mean, you know, I get nervous enough playing in like a FACEIT Points Cup. Are we playing that in you know, the round of 64 or whatever it is? And I'm sweating already. So I can't imagine what it's like having this much riding on one map for these two teams. Now, 4 spy on the board from PLINK. Of course, the pistol round just won by Prosto. Do we see the curse continue, or is it going to be broken once again as the execute about to come through into this B-bomb site?
Similar smokes being put in once again, but Def, this gun is tailor-made for this position, or is it? Maybe the CZ is the way to go. After all, Ivan's going to go down too, and it seems like the curse is real, Harry. It's as real as it's ever been.
Yeah, at this point, it's expected. It's more of an upset if they win with the rifles,
Exactly.
isn't it? It's madness. But, yeah, that's Counter-Strike 2018 for you. Bomb goes down inside of this B-bomb site. I swear my teammates in MM are never this proficient with pistols, but these guys in the server are at the very least. And while it is going to be around going the way of PLINK, they want to try and keep this competitive as ever. Both the rifles saving over here in apartments, and they're about to have players come their way. If they shut these guys down, then that there gives Prosto a fighting chance looking to the future. It's quite a nice bait, because the temptation to take these guns away is massive, but they find all the flags on the back of Flaric. So the round is won by PLINK. This is a very odd scenario, and not one you're going to see very often in Counter-Strike. There's money for PLINK. They go for the buy. They can get rifles on these two, but very limited utility. The buy for Prosto is pretty decent. So it's like an early force for either side.
Yeah, and effectively a 2-for-1 round for either side, because everyone's economy is garbage. I don't think there's more than maybe $2,000 saved between the two teams here. In fact, probably less than that. Maybe even less than 1,000. So Prosto and PLINK both know the situation. They know that each other's economy is in tatters, it's in ruins, it's all been depleted. As they move down into mid to try and assume some control with the bomb in hand, PLINK making moves towards Connector. Smoke is going to be deployed as a second one also lands, just to make sure that none of Connector can be spotted. And Sivat's going to try and take this opportunity to go aggressive. There's a slight gap, but not enough to spot the CT. In the meanwhile, though, there's enough of a gap for Sivat to put down Luke on short. A cheeky kill, and he gets away with it scot-free. Not a single point of health lost. Oh, this time, though, he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly not so lucky the second time around. And now they've made it a 4-on-4. They're going to look to execute in, and Redhide manages one. Kenzor can't find anything. This A-bomb site comes crumbling down around Prosto. Just a UMP and a PT-50 left in play. They're going to try and go for it, though, and it's very tempting. Look at how much damage has been done to the guys left up on PLINK. Couple of shots here and there. And that's all you need. You've got a round, but not with Fates hitting shots like that. It all falls on a Def in a 1v3. And while he manages that first kill, and he does have a kit, I don't fancy his odds, seeing as the bomb is planted for mid and ramp. There's Jio to lock in the round. 8-10. It's going to go ever closer and on ever longer. As PLINK now look to try and find a 9th.
I expect to see a Mach 10 or 2 picked up here. But actually, they're not going to go for any. Okay, Luke is, at the very least, towards his AWP front. I was going to say, because they must know that Prosto are basically on 0 kind of investment. There's only a P250 picked up. So these are the kind of rounds where a lot of teams would actually go for like a dual Mach 10 setup, especially as a couple of players are quite low on funds here. But this does allow Luke to go aggressive. He's the expendable weapon. If he loses the Mach 10, no big deal. They're actually sending the AKs in first. Kind of back to front play. Fates with two. 2 frags go the way of Prosto, courtesy of Kenzo, which is very impressive considering they only had $300 investment. And now they'll be coming back in with M4s.
Yeah, back to the buy. They're back on the grind, as annoying social media influencers would say. Prosto with rifles across the board. No defuse kit, though, important to note. They can't afford to let that bomb go down. And Mach 10 still up on Jio. That's going to be something to keep an eye on, considering how little head armor there is up on the side of Prosto. Kenzo going to try and take aggression over here into mid. Does have Ivan to help out, albeit very, very briefly. They're all the way down short. And while Kenzor's managed one, he's at least delayed the push on in. Jio with the return. Def is all that stands between Prosto. Sorry, PLINK can getting this bomb down. It's going to be a 3v2 in this retake.
That gets drilled courtesy of Fates. Bomb plant to follow. They're going to wait for that smoke to clear and make sure all 3 players can push through simultaneously as a cohesive unit. Fate spots another player crossing. And another flash, and the trajectory of that would suggest that all 3 players are from Kitchen, and Fates knows it. He's going to try and step up to the plate, but he's not able to deliver. And he will strike out. Pro still will get an 11th round for themselves, and PLINK back into the doldrums on their T side.
And this game holds the promise of going on, becoming even closer. The only issue now becomes, once again, we're leaning onto a round where it becomes effectively a 2-for-1. Neither team going to have money at the end of this, so a lot riding on it for Prosto. This could be the round that leads to them starting to, you know, close out this game. But for PLINK, it's a means back in. And Luke, he's certainly opened things up the way they'd like. Dropping Xavier early on. Now a 5-on-4. It's Def going aggressive over in the apartments that looks to try and mix things up.
Oh, Redhide had the right idea and was so close and just clipping the head with one of those AK rounds, which would have been, of course, the demise of the B side more than likely. I think Redhide felt compelled to play aggressive. Well, pardon me, the player on Prosto felt compelled to play aggressive, which was Def, because they lost that first player so early. And this is why they're now pushing out for information. They got low utility. They're in a 4v5. There's still so much time left. This is the domino effect that losing a player this early doors, when you're so scrapped for cash, is going to hurt. Now I'm going to start to push up short. 3 players strong. J.O. Fates and Romy. Kenzor trying to hold down the line's only going to be able to get 1, and that's not going to be good enough. More than likely, Def is the next to fall, and now Prosto will just save. There's no reason to go for this. They do not have the funds to allow it at all. They've got 2 AK-47s, which will be very useful in the next round. So PLINK are going to get to 10. We're going to have another close map on our hands.
Yeah, we most definitely are. I mean, that's what it feels like this series needed, in all honesty. I mean, we had a blowout back on Nuke. And Inferno, I mean, while the scoreline looked pretty close, it never felt like a close game. I mean, it was a weird one. Early on, it felt like it was going to be competitive, but then it all fell apart for Prosto towards the latter end of that first half and just continued into the second. So, 10-11. 4 players surviving for PLINK, 2 for Prosto, and that might inspire them to go for a force buy around it. And well, it's all on the line, all to play for. Money's plentiful right now for PLINK. They're going to start to amass some cash to fall back on, and that's a luxury that neither one of these teams has really had just yet in this second half.
Yeah, they're really deliberating over this. As you say, they could go for a force. I mean, they've got Sivat down to 1,500. Flarix on 1,400. It's likely going to have to be a double eco. And double eco, yeah, sure PLINK might take the lead, but at least it puts them in fine stead to maybe come back and rattle a few heads. They could even pull off the win, of course. We've seen time and time again lackluster buys prevail in this best of 3 and throughout today. So it looks like they are going to go for the all-in. Or at least partially. Not going to fully invest into Sivat, but it's going to be a Deagle in his hands and Def who's got $600 left. So it gives them something, but it gives them a little bit of bank balance too. I'm on board with the buy, and it definitely could work out for them. May see some aggressive antics, though, as a result. They may feel cornered into fighting fire with fire. But it's looking like it could be a set play onto A, which is going to be a pretty hard counter to any mid-aggression the CTs were hoping for. They've been null and voided now. Kenzor, the first to fall, not going to be able to do anything in retaliation. Neither of those AK-47s are in prime position to strike just yet. They're going to have to wait for that smoke to clear first, which isn't happening. Bomb planted for ramp, and it's looking like this round is all pretty much over. It's already been wrapped up.
Yeah, this looks like the equalizer found for PLINK. It's a bit of pill to swallow if you are Prosto. You can see they're don't even the idea of sticking around, and now they very, very quickly abandon all hope of anything happening in this round. It's 11-11. All tied up here on Mirage. And this game decides, you know, Prosto, the organization founded and backed by Zeus of Na'Vi, a man who formerly won the major, of course, with Gambit. Has now gone on to have a string of recently great results with the team in Na'Vi. Do his team stand a shot of qualifying for the major at the end goal, obviously, along with Hellraisers? Or is PLINK, along with Fates as the stand-in, someone who was an ex-Hellraisers player, going to be joining them to continue the rest of this event? There's a lot on the line. And once again, we kind of had one of these kind of awkward rounds where Prosto, they've just got pistols around the AKs that they have. Nothing really to write home about. But with how things have gone, you still can't write them off, because this game has been anything but consistent in terms of results versus these pistols.
Yeah, it's been a real pendulum of CS today, honestly, in all these games that you think you've got a team tacked onto in a round or a map and it just all goes horribly wrong. So it's very possible that a buy like this could work out again, but I would say that PLINK have certainly momentum-wise been changing this back in their favor, shifting it back in their form, making a move with the bomb back through the T-spawn, making the arduous journey onto A site. It's going to be occupied by Sivat and his USP, using that smoke as a sanctuary, hoping to use it against the terrorists who are oncoming to the site. Flaric, in the meanwhile, is taken home in ramp. He's picked up 2 kills, make it a 3rd, and Prosto are so close to pulling it off. With 2 AK-47s, it's down to Luke and Romy.
A round that never should have been. Flaric on for the ace. 4 kills to his name, and just Luke left to deal with. He's going to back away, his head hung low. The acceptance of defeat, 30 seconds left on the clock, and Luke now turns his attention to holding on to the AWP. Flaric, the bloodlust, the need to finish this off with the ace, has well and truly kicked in, and also to take the AWP, strip it from PLINK's hands. You can see players setting up on either side of Palace. They know that this is where Luke resides. He's going to get boxed in from either side, and like moths to a flame, they're drawn in. Lusting for the frag, and Luke looks to hold his own, does manage one, but that's going to be it. The free upgrade comes through, and Prosto, I mean, what a round. Flarich, 4 kills for him. We mentioned how the rounds that, really shouldn't go the way of teams so often have done today. It's like the laws of Counter-Strike have been reversed before our very eyes. 12 to 11, Prosto going to retake the lead. And now they get the free AWP as well for Ivan.
Been a little bit nitpicky, but they actually got that kill with 2 seconds to spare, and they had him isolated and surrounded. They could have waited a little bit longer before going in for the frag, but in the present, it's going to be going the way of PLINK. They've got the opening pick, and Sivat's surely not long for this world. Stuck out in mid, but the trades are going back and forth. They're at least getting avenging frags. Flarich decides to push out, very nearly times himself into an easy death, but instead claims the frag with 46 health remaining. So an explosive start to round 24 will favour the CTs for the time being. And now that much more. It all falls to Jo, who's been spotted, his position now known. The bomb is a long way away, but I don't think the CTs will realise it. They definitely don't have eyes on it. So as far as they're concerned, he's going to be trying to make a move on the A side. So he can now rummage back towards mid and pick it up for himself. And he could maybe, Harry, get this into 2 separate 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean, if you look on your map right now, that definitely looks to be true. Def goes aggressive over here into apartments, and that's something that could catch Jo off guard. He's not making any noise, though, sneaking all the way through mid, and no one with eyes on short. He could easily get this bomb down inside of B if he heads in there now. Of course, we have the gift of the X-ray, so he doesn't know this, but as time ticks down, it looks like he's made the right move. And you mentioned isolating these 1v1s, there's definitely the potential for it. One thing to keep track of, though, is those 2 incendiaries still up over on the side of Prosto. Def certainly is not, as his name suggests. He hears the bomb go down, might even take the peek, and he finds Jo heading in towards Market. That'll be the round. Prosto hold on to it. A 13th for them, in spite of the lone gunman's best efforts over on the side of PLINK.
Yeah, in those kind of rounds, you do have to take a risk. You have to take a gamble. So I definitely can't hold it against Jo. Did a really good job of at least attempting. At least he gets a bomb planted. He takes over the economy somewhat for the lower funded players. Himself and Luke are the lowest on his team. Luke is going to get dropped an AWP from the hands of Romy. He's going to be traded out an AK-47. That does mean that Luke is onto a glass cannon AWP. So he's going to have to be a bit more weary, but Prosto now with a 2-round lead. When it really matters, when they're getting towards the business end, they're starting to open up a lead now. And with no funds left, if PLINK lose this round, they're in serious trouble, Harry. This could be the make or break round for Prosto.
Yeah, most definitely. They've put everything into this round, and there's the opener found by Luke. Their hearts, their minds, but also all of their money. And a loss here, well, that means nothing in the next. So that's a very harsh reality that PLINK might have to own up to, although not if Luke can do anything about it. He's already found the opener. Now they look to go fast on the back of this in towards the A-bomb site. They have to get past Ivan and past Flarich, who have both looked good today. Flarich out in no man's land, would be in danger of being caught out. The flash going to come through for him, and this is a peak he might come to regret. He hears the smokes, the flashes, everything raining through, and he gets caught out over towards the ramp. That's their way into the bomb site, and they know it. Charging on through, Ivan waits in CT, but he's got a tall order ahead of him.
He'd love to get perched on that box and have a quick look, but he knows that would be getting his toes burnt to a crisp, and has to go in afterwards, where Luke is waiting for him. So not for the first time. We're going to have a save. It feels like most rounds are going that way, to be fair, but pros don't need to. It's an absolute necessity. They cannot afford to go in for this. If they save the 2 weapons, they've got a Desert Eagle they can toss to somebody. Kenzo is going to make sure that he's not going to give his AK-47 away. There is now a second AK that can get picked up by Def if he so chooses. But if they keep these 2 weapons alive, they can go for another buy in the next round. If they lose them, probably not going to be the case. So PLINK do live to fight another day. The all-important fulcrum point round that I was building up with their economy isn't going to be the case. So we are, again, neck and neck. But with the save weapons, as I said, they can both drop and they can get a full buy-in effect.
Yeah, I mean, now that economic weighting that we put on that round in favor of Prosto is very quickly turned against them. That's the harsh mistress that the economy can be when you look at it, they've put everything into this round similarly to how PLINK did in the previous. A loss in this one means that they're full eco into the next, and that's amplified by the double op setup being moved into. So a loss here effectively paves the way for PLINK to go 14 to 13 up in map number 3.
Here comes the set play onto A. How is your A defense doing, Prosto? Or more likely, how's your A retake? Do they even want to try and fend off the initial push? I don't know if that would be wise. FACEIT has already gone in for one. Sivat's going to be falling by the wayside. Slight gap in the smoke could afford Red the opportunity to strike, but he's going to wait for a second smoke to bloom so he can go for that plant. He's pretty low on health, but does get the plant down in the smoke. So it's planted out in the open, both for ramp and connector. They don't have any player, though, rotating round towards mids, the T's. They're all clumped up in ramp and one in Palace, which is Romy. So a 4v5 retake, Harry, with 2 AWPs. And Prosto have decided now we don't want any piece of this. We're getting out of there.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. I mean, I think that was the call from the beginning. Def, you noticed, I mean, if you're keeping an eye on the minimap, those of you at home, he didn't rotate off of the B bomb site. Even as the smokes go in, he hears the bomb going down, he just sits there. So the call to save would have come in very early on, and the guys that were already there, waiting on the fringes of the bomb site, seeing if someone from PLINK maybe overextends a little bit and gives them an avenue back in. But, yeah, saving, it's an important one. We mentioned how that economy had now turned against Prosto. As a result, they can afford to get, I don't know, UMP up on Civiat, something along those lines. It's going to be pretty much the same buy as they had in the previous. They get one more shot at it. And they can scrape a buy together in the next as well. So I like the decision there from them. Risky one, because if you lose anyone, suddenly you haven't attempted a retake and you can't really justify the buy in this round. But it pans out for them. And PLINK, early on, all 5 players, all their eggs in one basket over here towards this B-bomb site.
Yeah, Prosto, they've got to be tiptoeing on eggshells at this point, Harry, because any mistake could cost them this entire best of 3. It could cost them any dreams of going to the major. As they slowly but surely make inroads into B-Apps, Jay, you know, is having a quick look. Already rotating 2 players through CT side. It is the Deagle wielding Sivat, though. It's none of the primary weapons that's gone down. That's the only silver lining on the dark cloud looming overhead for Prosto. Blocking out the sunlight as it is. And soon Smokes may very well be doing the exact same thing. Ivan's missed his chance. Jeez, for a second I thought he was going to tag his teammate round short the way he was aiming. Fortunately, he didn't. And there, gets the kill into J.O. This is back up for debate again.
Flaric going to help him out even more. Ivan's been tagged low, but not finished off. They know where he is. But he still has the open hand. They're going to try and pressure him. Luke's going to go peeking on in first, but it's Red to find the shot, and now Def. Missed opportunity on a man on the cross, and he's going to look to hold on to the AWP. Backs away. I mentioned how as a result of the save in the previous, they can get a buy together here. It's not going to be groundbreaking. It's not going to be crazy, but it will be enough to cobble together a last-ditch attempt to deny map and series point in the way of PLINK.
A big kill for that reason. Without the AWP and without the Desert Eagle, it would be a very, very poor buy at best. This does afford him the opportunity to maybe drop his sidearm to somebody who can get full nades and Kevlar instead. You'd assume he'll drop the AWP to Ivan, who is typically the primary AWPer for this team. So yeah, as you say, Harry, it's going to be a buy. It's not going to be fantastic, but at least it's something to work with. Ivan going to get dropped the AWP. They've preferred to go for double AWPs time and time again, but they're not going to be allowed to go for that this time. They just simply didn't have the funds to support it. So 4 assault rifles, joined by an AWP. Not too many nades, 2 kits, but Ivan's got the first kill, and they're going to decide to play aggressively up mid. It's not a play we've seen too often from them. Romy caught completely with his pants down, was not expecting that. And these are the kind of plays that Prosto desperately required.
In the meantime, though, PLINK have gotten out into A. It might be a 3 on 5, but that bomb is going to go down, acting like a 4th man to try and pull this back. Kenzor into window, just going to miss the timing On to Redhide, and that allows him to find a frag deep within the depths of CT. It's FACEIT. Ignoring the possibility there might be a man down in mid. Zivjak could easily create a doorway back into this round for Prosto, and now it's Luke in a 1v3. Peeks out wide, but Flaric gonna find him. On the defuse, and there's enough time left to grab it. Prosto gonna move on to a 14th. There's plenty of money to Plink for buy. And I mean, now we're going to be going the full 30 rounds regardless. Just a question of, do we see overtime, or will one of these teams clinch the win at the very end?
Well, the way this has been so back and forth, it wouldn't surprise me if we did go to overtime. Like, just a few more twists and turns, a bit more drama added on top of this best of 3. But a tactical timeout called by PLINK. It's now their turn. Obviously, in terms of a buy, they know what's coming up anyway. They're going to have the full purchase, but more around the tactical element of it. How can they catch Prosto off guard? Try and get in their head. Allow them to stew on the magnitude of this round and the round after this. And here we go. Going back into live once more. Do we see PLINK go for some kind of aggressive play? Not just yet. Prosto are deciding it's their turn to call a timeout as well. So they're going to really take their sweet time over this. In terms of the buy, you can see a couple weapons on the floor in the CT spawn. I think it's a couple of AK-47s or an AK and an M4, so they're going to be good to have a full purchase of their own. But really, like Harry, this game is on a razor's edge. It's anybody's. It's so hard to call who picks this up now.
Yeah, the one thing you maybe have to say is that PLINK have a bit of an advantage in the sense that they can still get a buy together in the next round if they lose this. Granted, it's not great, but it's far better than anything Prosto can muster. You know, the reset is looming here for that CT side, and that's the scary prospect. The loss here for them, and suddenly you're relying on pistols, which, to be fair, today, maybe that's not such a crutch as what you'd usually expect. Regardless, it's Flaric, a man who has had his fair share of big rounds for Prosto, holding close on the ramp. He's looked good today. He has Kenzor with him. Sphere as well, keeping an eye on mid. One man inside of B. But that might not matter. They've already been able to find Gio. An attempted boost into the window. Sphere doesn't quite spot the man on the peak, and now they start to lose bodies left and right, but it's Fiat to keep them in this. 2 quick kills over towards the A bomb site, and Def wrapping round through CT. It's Redhide and FACEIT. FACEIT falls the stand-in for PLINK. Can't quite find the shot, and Fiat, the bottom performer for Prosto, starting to step up to the plate when they need him to the most. Redhide 1v3, and it's just not happening. A massive performance from the man down in connector. There's a celebration from Prosto. They know that's such a big round to win. They've at least secured overtime now. 1 round is all it takes from them to send PLINK home. It's all on the line.
Oh, and two Galils PLINK have in Jo and FACEIT's hands, so it's not ideal. They do have an AWP out, it's in the hands of Luke, but you have a distinct lack of utility. Only 3 smokes, one of which has just been tossed out by Redhide. So a molly, 2 smokes, all being tossed out already. Luke's gone in for the first frag. Redhide's really trying to get the CTs to bite down on this B fake, but it's not really paying off for them just yet. They're still laying around on A. CT boxes, Flurk is starting to rattle off some headshots and finish off the rest. Jo goes down, gonna smoke himself out, double smoking CT boxes. Maybe a bit of an overreaction from Prosto, anticipating a Molotov coming in. But now with everything smoked off, all the angles covered, they can go for a bomb plant and our 4-on-4 retake. If Prosto get this, they move 1 step closer to the major.
Yeah, this is the difference between elimination or overtime for PLINK. Romy finds the first kill and the second as well. He wants to drag this through to an OT. He doesn't want to give this up after how hard they fought to take it through to a 3rd map. Def answers back. 2v3, the footsteps down in mid. They have to get on that bomb soon, though. It's ticking away. The timer running low. Luke finds death, and Redhide gonna go to drop Kenzor just like that. We're heading through to OT. 3 maps, 30 rounds. It's all not enough. We're gonna have to see some more to decide who joins Hellraisers and who will be heading home. PLINK over on the T side, Prosto on the CT side. They get $10,000 to play with in MR3 overtime.
And Romy, 13 and 21, but he got 2 of the most impactful frags of his entire best of 3. Those were huge, huge kills he picked up, getting his team along the finish line towards overtime, and now, once again, is completely up in the air. This is where the CT economy can really work against you in overtime. And they've gone for double ops too. So this is a heavy investment. But FACEIT comes right out the gates. He's a player that's really woken up over these last 5 or so rounds to pick up one of his own. Kenzo chimes in with another one. It's a solid start in overtime for Prosto. FACEIT may be able to get a second, but Kenzo takes it away. There's Ivan. Both of the ops have chimed in for frags. Both of them have been very impactful. That's going to be great for the confidence of Prosto. And now PLINK have Luke to try and put a cat amongst the pigeons, but he's been hunted down. FACEIT's having none of it. He picks up his second.
16 to 15. Of course, 19 is the magic number we are looking for. Well, Prosto, there you go, flawless in the first round of overtime. Buy back in from PLINK, but with 10k MR3, the economy is something you still have to take into account, especially when you're going for AWPs, as PLINK have been. A loss here, and you're kind of even staring at a struggle to buy on 2 of your players, so... Jo. Rotation as well from Luke, looking like it might be a B play, leaving Romy at that B bomb site, but no, the bomb's going back. They look to rejoin with him. They've had success inside of A. When you think about PLINK and a lot of the rounds they're able to find on their T side, you'll think about this A bomb set a lot. It looks like they might plan to head back there.
Making the long trek through the T-spawn. Making sure that every footstep is masked, not wanting to make any unneeded noise to alert the CTs to their presence. FACEIT playing close in shadow. He may be the line of defense that Prosto need to hold firm, because the rest of his teammates are starting to get smoked out of positions. FACEIT's one of them, and FACEIT is the man to do the job with the AK-47. He's about to get pushed again. He's going to pick up 3, make it a 4th. No, not quite just yet. And FACEIT takes it away from him. But that was all FACEIT. He really turned the attention of the terrorists towards Shadow, allowing them to pick them off one by one. And now Prosto take a 2-round lead. And Harry, you called it. They lose this round, they're going to be struggling to buy. That's exactly what's come up now for PLINK.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most horrible scenario to be in. I mean, you work so hard, take it through to a 3rd map. After losing your initial map pick of Nuke, you're able to win out Inferno, your opponent's map pick, and then you grind your way through to an overtime. Prosto about to go flawless unless PLINK on the back of this force can dig deep, find some success. They've already picked up the early man advantage courtesy of a Jo. There's still more players here though inside of B for him to contend with. Rotation coming around from Luke, but FACEIT's there. Pressure's now on for Jo as well. As they cleared out the rest of lower tunnels. He now stands here alone, back into a 4-on-4.
Prosto, who have already had 1 match point, eyeing up another 3, and definitely would be favourites to convert one of those. But PLINK, they're going for an all-out A set play. It's not going to be joined by Jo, so they're going to be outnumbered shortly. If Def can make a move, he's not doing so, but it's going to be FACEIT again. This time he's perched on the CT boxes. Not in shadow, but it's the same result. His AK-47 surgically removing the heads of any oncoming terrorists. Jo and Redhide, with 35 seconds left, have got to make a move. But because they've stalled a little bit, it's putting doubt for Prosto as to whether they're even hitting A, or if maybe they're a different party going towards B. Now they're about to find out that it is going to be the A site of choice, although now FACEIT's moved out of position. This is allowing vital ground being covered by the terrorists, allowing them to get into a spot to maybe go for a plant. Maybe there is still some hope left here, Harry.
Yeah, it's Redhide and Jo. They hear that bomb going down. Rotation from Def over to the short position, and he spots the man up on top of triple. Prosto a chance to go forward and flawless, and for PLINK, they need this round. Jaio's left in a 1v4. He's been the high performer for them. There's that first frag onto Def. And as he looks to try and watch over this bomb plant, it's Guardian Angel from short. They go ahead and smoke it off. That's got his attention. Jaio's managed another. They're on the bomb. They're defusing it. They're going to get away with it. The timer ticks down, and Prosto, they will go flawless in the first half of overtime. 18-15 in favor of Prosto. PLINK not managing a single round. And you can see there, I mean, they look devastated on the back of that. They understand the implications that has. They now need to go flawless here on their CT side if they want to take it through to a second overtime.
Flaric, 34 kills, was the main man, especially towards the end of overtime and regulation. Very well played by him, and he's put his team in great shape to move through to the next stage. Jaio, I like what he tried to do in that previous round, changing his elevation position so they didn't expect the angle to be from short, but he's going to go down first in this round, and that could be the beginning of the end, the nails being hammered into the coffin. Prosto on the brink as they look to try and make a move onto B. It will only be Fates here with an AWP 2 and with flashes and smokes landing around. It doesn't give him any room for error, and he's been punished. 3 more kills separating Prosto and moving through this best of 3.
Yeah, the bomb goes down, and this is what they've been fighting for. Finally in a position to close this best of 3 out. They couldn't do it in the first half. Or sorry, regulation rather. Now they have the chance to do it now. Ivan does chip away at the defense. Luke is immediately in with the return, though. Red High gets caught, and it's Luke left in a 1v4. They know where he is, and Kenzor's going to find him. It's 19-15. Prosto get the job done. It took them 3 maps. It took them an overtime, but they managed to send PLINK home. They're going to be continuing along with Hellraisers throughout this process, trying to bag their spot in the FACEIT London Major coming up later this year. And I mean, what a recovery from then. After Inferno, I thought they looked deflated. They didn't look, you know, like themselves. Their performance on Nuke was fantastic to kickstart the day, but it went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows for Prosto. But they dig deep and they grind out a 19-15 win on Mirage.
Yeah, tenacity. Honestly, I think it's what got them against the, at first against the ropes, but then they kind of bounced back and managed to just sledgehammer through the wall that was seemingly being put up there by themselves. They made so many strange mistakes. Inferno was a catalogue of errors. It didn't really make sense to either of us, but to see them come out there on Mirage, even in overtime, they let one round map point slip, and then they came straight back in the next round and put it under wraps. So a lot of respect to them, but in terms of them outperforming likes of Hellraisers or Spirit later on, I'm not so sure. I don't know if they have what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trick, because you saw it. I mean, you're exactly right. They were in their own heads, it felt like, especially back on Inferno, and it took a lot to recover, and it shows a great deal of resilience, but I feel like, you know, other teams, they're not going to be so kind. They won't let you have those entire maps almost of blunders back to back. You're not going to get that breathing room. But to talk to the Pro100 guys, or Prosto rather, it is going to be Freya with an interview.
Thank you guys. I'm here with Prosto after their win against PLINK. So how are you feeling to have won against PLINK?
We're feeling so great because it was so hard game for us. We lost our first match against them, best of 1 at Nuke. After in this game we won it easy. Inferno was so pretty hard for us. We didn't play our game. And Mirage, wow, this was so fantastic game. Yeah, thank you for watching this.
I think we just feel relieved, just happy to just beat them.
So talk to me a little bit more about Nuke. This was actually PLINK's map pick as they beat you on it earlier. What did you change going into this game?
Well, I guess first of all, first game we started as T, and it's pretty difficult side on Nuke. And we just missed some smoke grenades, so it was very difficult for us. And second time we started as CT, and we were pretty confident in our CT side, so we just beat them easily. And then on T side we just fixed our mistakes from the first time, so just yeah, like that.
Yeah. So what brought about this confidence on your CT side on Nuke?
We just practiced it a lot, and that's all. We just played Nuke a lot of times.
So on your map pick, which was Inferno, things didn't go too well for you guys. PLINK managed to take that map from you. What went wrong for you guys?
Well, as far as I remember, first of all, as T, we just didn't take enough rounds. We played like we usually do, but we just couldn't kill them sometimes on banana. So just usually it's our rounds, but it was unfortunate for us. So like that's why T-side was pretty bad for us. But CT, I just don't remember. I just saw like they couple times just come some rounds, just some stupid mistakes like that. I don't know, maybe miscoordination, miscommunication, just so.
So obviously Mirage was your final map, and which was super close. You guys managed to clinch that out in overtime. How did you manage that?
He's a king. He just goes
yeah, it was. We won like a team, but yeah, it was so hard rounds on A side and playing on A. Yeah, just take 2 or 3 important rounds for us. We won equal round at second half, and just it was so hard today, but they did it. I know, and we did it too.
So do you feel the fact that PLINK had a stand-in, did that enable you to find the cracks in their communication and their teamwork?
Well, as far as I know, they're not like a teams that practice a lot. They're more like a mix. They played like a mix previously, and they play like a mix now, so I don't think it affected them a lot. And actually, when they beat us on Nuke, FACEIT did just great job, so I think it was even a bonus for them, I don't know.
And are there any do you want to say anything to the fans watching at home before we go back to the desk?
Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone who cheered for us. I'm just feel really thank you for you. Thank you. Just, I don't know, nothing else. I'm just so excited after this win.
Cool. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations on your win. We're going to head back over to the desk.
Thank you, Freya and the guys from Prosto. So overall, it's fair to say that this best of 3 showed the teams were indeed a lot closer in skill than that first map we saw earlier today suggested. And we did identify that that could have been slightly anomalous. And if we look into how Nuke played out in this best of 3, it completely flipped in terms of who won it. It went in favour of Prosto as opposed to PLINK. Starting off with that, James, what went right in favour of Prosto?
They started on the CT side.
Yes.
Seemingly, it was a game of CT sides, and they started off well. I mean, it was very, very one-sided, because you could tell from the score. I think it was 1 on a CT side for them, just as it was on the game previous. I didn't think it would go the same way, even if PLINK started on the CT side. But again, maybe the gap between these two teams isn't as large as we expected, so who knows?
Matthew, after hearing from some of the players from Prosto when they spoke to Freya, it seems that they were definitely aware after the best of 1 what went wrong on Nuke, and potentially were able to correct it. Of course, there's the argument that it was just starting on the CT side, but could you see changes in their play style that kind of show they did adapt?
Well, actually, it was really hard to realize, as you said, changes, because most of the game happened really on the CT side, so we didn't get to see that much in the first game. But judging by how the CT side went, you could see that this is a different story. It was definitely a different story. I want to say that I think PLINK, we could think only 3 rounds is really not that much, but they got like 3 separate rounds. They had to work for it. They didn't have any economical advantage. So 3 round ST is actually okay, but then you need to win the pistol round. They lost it, and that was enough for Prosto to just close it really quickly.
Let's get the overall stats up on screen from the match so we can see exactly who were the top performers.
This one's from Mirage.
Okay, this is just Mirage then, yes. We have on the side of Prosto Flourish at the top, and I think he was, in fact, the overall highest performer on the server throughout all 3 maps.
Yeah, he was extremely important, mostly in those overtimes. I think he had at least 2 multi-kills that were extremely important to get a CT, so props to Flourish for this best of 3, and this overtime on Mirage was really important for him.
Yeah, I really had no idea which way Mirage was going to go, and those were very key frags at the end there to take it over the line from that shadow position. That one round where he kind of forced the T's to face him at close range. Even the AWP trying to take him out from 5 feet away didn't really happen. So he played an important part in those key rounds at the end.
Maniac, something that you picked up on during this match was PLINK at times overthinking, maybe trying to be too complex with what they were doing on the map. And we have a great example of that now, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are going to show you is happening at actually, I think, 5-1. So Prosto is leading 5-1. And what happened is PLINK just won a round, playing slowly, just going to take ramp control, getting a kill ramp, going back inside. And the next round, they just decide to play extremely fast outside, and they get destroyed. So when I say overthinking, I think maybe it was a case of they thought that Prosto would adapt and really did not see that very fast-paced outside play. But what happened is that they got absolutely smashed. They got reset, back to 6-1, back to the drawing boards, and then Prosto just ran away with it. So it's one of these situations where sometimes you just give too much credit to your opponent. You think, oh, they are going to know we're going to do this, let's change. Whereas maybe you should just have gone with what was working, like they were playing slowly, taking ramp control, going back inside. They found more success with that than just the outside rush.
Now, if we take a look at the next sort of case study that you'd like to bring up, it is a lack of map control at times on the side of Prosto. So the winning team this time, Matthew.
Is it on Nuke again?
Inferno.
It's on Inferno.
It's Inferno, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was a little bit, how to say, frustrated or confused by how Prosto were playing as T on Inferno, because I thought sometimes they were a little bit like impatient and they were not respecting the smoke play from PLINK. And here you have an example where they are crossing the smoke, but you could see how they get like completely blocked in the speed. They get the Molotov, they get flashed. Two players are stuck behind the smokes. They don't get any entry. It takes a lot of time for them to actually get the kills. And what happens is the CT that was rotating from A is already there, gets a trade, and then it's a 3v3. So that for me, the problem was that Prosto was not really forcing PLINK to use their utility early in the round, which is what you gotta do if you want to play standard on Inferno. You have to pressure the CT to use their smokes. And then suddenly at maybe 45-50 seconds, they just decided, yeah, we're going to go B, let's go. But the problem is they still have smokes, they still have Molotov, they have flashes. So by the time you actually get to fight them, the backup's already there, and it's much more difficult for you.
And then the final moment of the match that you wanted to highlight specifically was in a crucial moment. I think it was 13-13 on Mirage.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there was something on Inferno as well, but the Mirage also 13-13 was very interesting. I'm not sure which one we're going to see now. That's the suspense. Oh,
okay, we're going to start with the Inferno one. And then this was Joyo? Gio,
yeah, absolutely. I think that was 13-11. This was a little bit of a blunder from Prosto that started it, because in this round they take banana control. They are 5v3 after the initial exchanges. And this is the overextending from Kenzor, which gives away a huge lead. They take the B side control. There's going to be a trade happening, and PLINK is going to end up with a 2v3, and you can see here Jayo with a very nice position. He knows he has to make a difference.
Wow.
They are playing 2 versus 3. They have no utility. They know the cities are going to have the angles on them, and he just picks the fight to them. 3 headshots, very clean. And for me, this was where PLINK straight out won the map on Inferno.
All right, James, anything else that you'd like to add?
That was a huge play there. There was. On going to Mirage, there were some really difficult rounds. I think it was difficult all over, and it was, I don't know, I think it was in some ways an unusual Mirage. You would see a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see, and maybe it's a lack of protocol from some of these teams. For example, if you're smoked off in window, but then you see a CT crouch peeking to see if somebody's there. But if somebody is there and a smoke's down, there's only so many places they can look, i.e. where you're walking, that kind of thing. But also, there was a weird round where I think PLINK were on the CT side, and it was a 3 versus. They ended up in a 3 versus 5 with a CT in CTA, a CT in Palace, and the bomb planted on A, but it had to save, which is not. When do you see that? You just don't see it. So it was a very unusual game of Mirage and very difficult situations for both teams. I had no idea who was going to win that one.
Yeah, it was hard to tell at times, and we do have one final example from Mirage to bring up and discuss on the desk, and this is the one where it's 13-13. There was an over-rotation on the side of PLINK.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think what we're going to show you is a good example of the pressure. So to put that into context, we are on the 3rd map. It's 13-13. Your life in the major qualifier is on the line. And what's going to happen is that PLINK are going to throw a B fake, which is not really absolutely crazy. There's 2 smokes or maybe 3. There's a Molotov, a bunch of flashes, and you can see the cities are just running to B. There is no like.
That's
no
a great angle as well. You can see the terrorists sneaking in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. You see now they realize they've done a mistake, but it's already too late. The Ts have taken the timing. They have window control. The 2 cities going CT base have no impact whatsoever on the round after this. So for me, this is a good example of what it's like to play in a very high pressure environment. suddenly it's 13-13, your teammate is calling, smoke, speed, flash, speed, it's speed, speed, speed.
That's me. That's definitely me.
It's speed.
Yeah, that's what happens, and then you over-rotate, and the span of a few seconds you realize, okay, maybe we did a mistake, let's go back to A, but it's too late. They're already there.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I like to play B on Mirage. Not one of my best maps. I play B when I'm on the CT side, and I hear one footstep, B, I need support. And then one guy walks out and headshots me, and it's over. Let's take a look at the bracket and see where we are at the end of day one here at the CIS Minor. Things started off with a bye for Hellraisers, and Amiga unfortunately unable to attend, and they went on to play PLINK, who beat Pro100 at the start of the day. We've lost the bracket for a second there, and then...
Why not? Just screw it. Let's
yeah,
go back
and
to
then,
you.
no, Prosto got a bye because they didn't have to play Namiga, who lost to Hellraisers, putting Pro100, Prosto...
They don't want to show you the bracket, Paula. Why even continue?
Prosto and PLINK played each other just now, and of course it was Prosto that came out on top. And so Hellraisers and Prosto move forwards.
Marvelous.
There we go. Group A, everybody, that's how it looks right now. James, Matthew, I've had a lot of fun today working with both of you. Matthew, I haven't seen you in a while. James, I've never worked on desk with you before.
Yeah, how do you feel?
Good. I always feel good in your company. And Matthew, what about yourself?
I had a really good time. I mean, this was not really what you would call super conventional CS, but
yeah.
it has some beauty to it. You know, things happen that are not supposed to happen.
This man is an artist of words.
Yes.
I mean, I like to see the positive in things, you know. So instead of thinking, what are they doing? I'm trying to see, okay, what can I take out of this game? What is it to be said?
Definitely, I completely agree. One final message to all of you at home. We do have giveaways going on. Remember to get involved. To enter our prize draw, all you have to do is go to faceitmajor.com/giveaway. This is the Miners
I'm much bigger
Millionaire
than you.
Sorry?
I just noticed on the camera I'm much bigger than you.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, continue.
You're a tall human being, James, and you should be proud of that.
I am. Cheers.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Parna. This has been James and Matthew. That is it for day one here at the CIS Minors. But do not go anywhere. The Americas Minors continue very shortly, and that is going to be an explosive affair. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow.